Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another CPC entertainment event online. You'll be surprised or maybe dismayed to see me on another cooking program, but I assure you, my presence here will be very short-lived compared to the last time. I'm just here to introduce everyone. Today, the star of our show, all the way from Chennai, is Dolly Jilla, who continues a long tradition of outstanding Jilla family catering and cooking over, I think, over a century now. But before we go to Chennai and to Dolly, and of course Firdos is waiting as well, and I'm really looking forward to that part too. But before we go to Dolly and to Firdos, first let's hear something from some other family members as well. So let's first hear it.
When I was young, my parents traveled the world, often as my dad was an international counselor for the Lions movement. We kids were left at home with our grandparents at the Dharamsala, and I was looked after by my kosher auntie, who had to rush me twice to hospital for emergency treatment. Once, when I had pushed half a dozen buttons up my nose when she was busy stitching. Dharamsala days were fun days with food playing center stage. All meals were planned the day before, and even our evening snacks were planned in advance. At exactly 4 p.m., we would each get a plate with two types of biscuits and some chana. My granny, we called her Maiji, was very meticulous in the kitchen, and all the vegetables had to be cut just right. But with us, when she played caroms, she would cheat and giggle and have good fun. And when she found out, rather, and when we found out and shouted, cheater, cheater, she would just smile. I have treasured memories of my days spent with my grandparents and aunt at the Dharamsala. I think my love for potato chips started with the mouth-watering aroma of frying chips coming from the kitchen. The chips were stored in a huge dabba about 4 feet high, and we were warned not to touch it, but would always manage to smuggle out some.
Thank you for that, Toshi Aunty. And we go now to Chennai to hear from another family member about her memories of those early days with the Jilla caterers.
We all helped out at the big feasts for the family Navjots and Lagans. Everyone pitched in. We had to peel and cut first the beetroot, which stained our hands red, and then the sweet potato, and all the little cuts got blackened, and finally the potato, which helped to redeem our hands partially. All the mothers of the family were there, bringing in tow their cooks, most of us kids, and most importantly, the knives. And we all looked down on those poor annaris who had to use the vegetable peelers. We young kids ran around very happily with the full khumchas serving the seated guests. And at the end, at our own dinner, we insisted on extra servings of jardalu from the kitchen staff, who were all old hands and knew us from the time we were born. In the midst of all this melee sat Maiji. She was the master chef, and everything turned on her command. So now let's go to Dolly and watch the latest output from the modern Jilla kitchens.
Hi everybody, good evening and welcome to Dolly Jilas kitchen. My favoritist place. I don't know if there's a word called favoritist, but I love being in my kitchen, well, most of the time. Unfortunately, today we cannot demonstrate a lot of goodies which everybody wants to really want to see how it's done, darni pori and bhakras and mawana cake and vasanu and all because of shortage of time. So today I'm going to show you all two dishes. One is savory and one is sweet. The savory dish is called pantras, and though it is not really a Parsi delicacy, it was made in a lot of Parsi houses. Actually, I think it's an Anglo-Indian dish. It is just savory pancake with a mince filling, dipped in egg and crumbed. And the second dish which I make, which it is a Parsi delicacy, is called popatji. Where it got its name from, I haven't a clue. I tried to Google it. I tried to look up Parsi recipe books, but I had no answer. So I'll start with my pantras. for which first thing I have to do is make the pancakes. Just to tell you all, the filling I have already made due to shortage of time. So this is keema. You can make it any old way that you wish to, your way, favorite recipe. You can put any filling. But the thing is, it has to be dry, gravy or rastu. And so that I have done just to save time. I'll show you how to make the pancakes and how to fold it and go about. So here I have 100 grams of flour, that is maida, in which I'm going to add 1 beaten egg and 200 ml of milk, that is almost 1 cup. Even the maida actually is about a cup. Salt has already been added in the flour because this is savory. And I'd like to tell you all that while this is mixing, that this is the exact same batter you use for our Parsi chapats, which is sweet. The only additions to that will be sugar, some vanilla essence, some elchi jaifal, and some charoli, that is chironji. So you just, no, nobody puts that in pancakes. Okay, so this is there. See, I'm making it into a smooth batter. Now I'm going to make the pancakes. Try and make it as thin as possible.
Like the stove? Yeah.
Okay. One thing I want to tell you all is you should not put too much oil in on the frying pan, because then the batter is going to just slide all over the place. So you just grease it lightly.
Right.
Either with a tissue, dipped in oil, or whatever you wish. I think I need to put a little bit more milk. The batter is a little too thick. So you have to see according, this has to be a little dropping consistency. This is a little too thick. So I'll just add a little bit more milk to make it a little thinner.
Buffalo milk or cow milk?
Any milk will do. See, this is a lot more liquidy. So you'll be able to swirl it around very well in the pan. The pan is getting a little warm. So you take a ladle full of the batter, push it on the corner, and then just spread it all around.
Wow! You put
A little milk, I think, in this. It's come too thick. Just spread it around so that there are as few gaps as possible, so that the mince doesn't come out through it. Okay. And the idea is not to let it get brown, and it should not get too crisp from the sides. Otherwise, it'll be very difficult to fold. It cooks very fast. See how easily it is coming off already. Now you just take it and flip it.
Wow. That's amazing.
After the pancake is done, you just let it cool for a while before you fill it. Now, because there's a shortage of time, I have already made a few pancakes. This was just for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to take this out and I will fill the pancakes which are already cool. See, it is almost like half done. It is not fully done because again, this is going to be fried. 1 second. Now, since this is hot, I will not be able to fill it. So I've already got some pancakes which I have made and kept ready. See, they're quite thin. This is how it should be actually, ideally. Now I'm going to brush this with some egg so that I'm able to fold it and it sticks well. So just brush a little eggs all around. Okay, Master Chef. Whatever you say, boss.
Yeah. Properly. Yeah.
Put filling in it. I'm using mince. You can put just about anything. You can make vegetarian, you can use paneer, you can put cheese, you can put leftover vegetables. Just make sure that you fold it tight so that it does not open up. Okay, I'll just do one more. Okay, since you're my sous chef, please put it on for me. Thank you. Again, I am not putting too much oil since this is already cooked. The mince is cooked, the pancake is cooked, so you don't need to deep fry it. Shallow frying is good enough.
Hold it
See,
tight.
there are little holes over here. Try and avoid as much as possible so that the mince doesn't come out through it.
Fold it tight properly. Barabar. Ah, tight. Lovely.
Thank you for this. Now we dip this in egg and breadcrumbs, and then we shallow fry it. So here I'm dipping it in egg and then crumbing it. Very simple to make. And I have very good memories of these pantras. Whenever we used to go for Bulbul night camps and we were asked to bring dried packed dinner, this was one of the things which the Medora girls would always bring, Suna and Nilofer. Always. And their mother made really lovely pantras. We had them in our house also, but just the pantras from the night camp are stuck in my head. Okay, so these now I'm going to shallow fry. It's a nice crisp coating outside because of the breadcrumbs, and from inside it will be nice and soft.
You need the Jilla touch. Remember that always.
And the Mogralia touch. Both go hand in hand.
Asmakara.
Just a little bit more brown. Looks very simple to make. The recipe is very simple. The only thing would take a little time, I think, is to make your filling.
Keema.
Okay, we are done.
के ऊपर है?
Open this please for me.
How would you manage without me? I don't know.
I really don't know that. There you
Yeah,
are.
there you go.
With some tomato ketchup.
I am cutting.
Yeah, that is the way it should be. Here's your chicken pantras, an Anglo-Indian dish, but eaten a lot in all the Parsi homes. Now, while I'm just clearing out all this, I will hand it over to Bahadur Uncle.
No.
Bahadur Uncle, over to you.
I've been asked to say a few words today because Dolly Jilas, that's right, is catering or doing something in Chennai. I would like to talk about her grandfather-in-law, grandmother-in-law, the Dosabai and Homai Jinla, who were Calcutta's principal caterers before we started catering at Parsi Club, well after they had packed up from the Dharamsala. Let me just talk briefly about Parsi Club. That was my first experience. The first dinner we had was for about 350 people on Jamshari Navroz, and Mrs. Kursigara cooked Sali Marghi, if I remember very well, for 1 rupee and 50 paisa. Later dinners attracted up to 750 persons per every year. And that's 1.5 times Calcutta Parsi population of today. And we had a terrific time catering for the community. There was Jar Gazdar in those days, Dolly Khambata in those days, that is Barjor's mother. But basically it was Mrs. Kursigara who would do the catering. To come back to the Jillas, Dosabai and Homai Jilla were the principal caterers. They were operating from the Parsi Dharamsala. They were there. Before them, their parents were there. Dosabai's father was there and he was the first caterer for the Dharamsala. So it was a long line of tradition carrying on till they left in 1962. Next door to the Dharamsala, the other Bow Street building, there was a caterer, Mr. Netarwala. He was also very good. He was a typical Parsi caterer. He was always in his sadra and lega and looking after all the catering by himself. Behram, my very close friend, used to help his parents in the catering. And I know that, I remember they did the catering for my Naujot, which was towards the end of the 40s, and also for my wedding, where as a very special case, much after retirement, for my Jalla, that Behram's mother and Behram catered for us. If I remember well, they were known for their Lagan stew, but I used to enjoy their Salim Murgi especially. Behram would give me a double round of Salim Murgi because I would forfeit eating the fish. I didn't care for too much in those days. There's one more small-time caterer of those days I must talk about, and that was my parents. They also did catering from Elphinstone restaurant, but in a very small way, very small way. But they were regular suppliers of the cricket lunch, where Fali Kanga would come and bargain with my mother to give him as much as he could get out of her for 1 rupee and 4 annas of a lunch. 1 rupee and 4 annas for a cricket lunch. And before you go away with the impression that the Jilla tradition of catering is over, I'm very glad that Havovi, in her own small way, is continuing in Kolkata and Dolly in Chennai. And to hear a little more about the family, we have Firdos talking to his mother.
Good evening, everybody. First, I'd like to thank Calcutta Parsi Club for inviting the Jilas and to know a little bit about the history of the Dharamsala that we ran and the catering business that we did. I have with me my pretty, charming mother, who was a long way back after she got married in 54, came to Calcutta and has been with this family, Jilla family, ever since. The Calcutta Dharamsala came into being in the year 1909. That is over 110 years ago. Somewhere around that time, I'm not too sure of the exact date when my great grandfather took over running of the Dharamsala, right? My great grandfather's name was Ormasdi Edelti Jilla, and his wife Bachubai ran it, and subsequently his son and their children, Dosabai Jilla and my grandmother Homai Jilla, ran the show for decades. I believe till 1962 we ran the Dharamsala, right?
Yeah, 62 we left.
62 we left. So nearly over 50 years. I'm not too sure of the period anyway. Mom, can you tell us something that you remember about earlier days of the Dharamsalas in the 1950s?
Yes, my mother-in-law was very particular for everything. She used to take care of the passengers also, and lot of work she used to do. Bazaring, she wanted cleanliness only. So she always supervised in the kitchen also. Okay, it is done well. And everything she used to do on her own. Billing passengers, look after the thing. And that time it was not modern, so even hot water to passenger also in the kitchen they boil the water and then they take upstairs.
So boil the water how?
In the chula, Kolsana chula pot.
Also no chulo.
And
That
then
Tambanu earlier it used to come.
and then they give to the passenger.
Wow. And what type of passengers used to come over there? Tourist only or business or
Most
tourism?
most of the time business, tourists, and children who goes to Darjeeling, whoever goes to Darjeeling, that time there was no direct flight, so they all went to come to Kolkata and then they go to Darjeeling. So always Dharamsala was full.
How many rooms you all have?
15 rooms, and first they give a one, but then more passengers come, so they have to share.
That's interesting. And when you came, what was the room rental that they used to charge?
75 paisa.
12 annas.
Not I came, I that till we left.
75 paisa till you left in 1962.
Yes.
My God.
And for lodging, dinner,
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
3 rupees 50 paisa for one dish. And with second sweet
Side
dish
dish.
and second side dish, 5 rupees. But in that everything, twice tea, breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything in 5 rupees.
Wow, that's amazing.
And one good thing, my sister-in-law Zareen and Corsair, they got their husband from the passenger.
Oh, so Rusi uncle and mommy uncle were
Rusi
passengers.
even a mommy dama first, and then they fell in love with the girl, and they asked Maggie.
That's interesting. What, anything else that you think of? I believe your security at that time was very strong. Yeah, they have very strong security.
2 ducks,
Geese that used to go
big one.
dieting. According to 2 senior citizens who I spoke to, one pretty cousin of mine in Calcutta and one pretty sister of mine in Calcutta, senior citizens told me that their bottoms used to be bitten by these geese chasing them all the time. So it's a joke, the security being so tough. So one part was the Dharamsala that you all ran for over 40-50 years. Then after that, after you left the Dharamsala, what did you all do? You all continued with the catering business?
Yeah.
So
My used to take the catering for 1,000 and 1,200 people like that way. In that time, no bread served to the king. So we used to make chapati for 2,000 and all that.
How many?
2,000 and all for big crowd.
Who used to do the chapatis?
Zareen and myself, we used to this. Seko and
Seko. Okay. So obviously, Maiji had a band of people, her cooks, established cooks who trusted people of us, and they were doing it. Good.
So we have a question.
Yeah, you have a question?
Yeah. Firoza is asking, was it 75p for the Dava Daru inclusive also?
No. Dava daru no alag. Dena 10 paisa alag.
that we don't supply. That they have to do their own. But she used to help her. If anybody is sick, she take care.
Like Bahadur uncle said about the Jilla no Bonu, what was the menu that you all used to cater for Lagan Noodles? What did it consist of?
Salima murgi, palau dal, gosno, Lagan stew, custard, and 3 patrani mach.
Very good. And you said Sali Margi. So the Sali, what, from Kame wafers you all used to
No,
buy?
nothing from outside.
Then how?
In the kitchen only we had a machine to make sali, chips, everything.
So all that pre-preparations used to take place a day beforehand or 2 days beforehand, making the Sali and getting things organized?
Only one evening, only making the sali. Nothing other. Maybe.
Okay, that's interesting. And the food was cooked on what? Lakra, that wood fire, this thing.
For big party.
Yeah, in the gallery. Okay. So something about the service part. How did you all serve? Like Jana said, all of us used to prance around helping out.
Serving the some friends like Don Master, Pilu Master.
Yeah, they used to be very
they
regular.
Used to come regularly to serve. Only boys, no girls. Serving.
So once the Dharamsala was given up, you all did catering, and after Maiji, you continued doing small catering in
Yeah, I used
that
to
4 days ceremonies or
and all
wedding
these
ceremonies.
things I used to make. All
Huh?
this Talima Margis to custard, machi, everything I
yes,
was.
I'm sure that the Calcutta Parsis know about your
I made
culinary
for so
skills.
many people about 7th of sure.
Okay. And what other things did you make that you are known for in Calcutta? Your dalni puri, bhakras.
That's so I made dalni puri, patel, bhakra, vasam, everything.
Okay, that's good.
Custard.
So Calcutta has got a good feel from this pretty lady
Now
over
my
here.
daughter has taken over.
Yes.
This and sell.
So we will come to that. As correctly you are saying, after my tea, my mom did a little bit of small caterings for small parties,
40,
get-togethers.
not more than
Yeah,
40.
40-50 people max. And she did side things of dalni puri, patrel, wasanu, bhakras, etc. After my
I
mom,
used
who
to get
doesn't
lot
know,
of order.
yeah. So business, it was a business. So this business has now been carried over by Awobi in our family and the granddaughter, and subsequently even our their great granddaughter, that is Shelly in Delhi, is now doing excellent business in this field. So she's not only in India, she's selling it internationally also, her masalas and her products, dalni puri, everything. Sorry? Yeah, the genes have been so wonderful. The genes have been permeated now.
Family genes.
I know. I say that. Firoz Dastur complimented you.
Compliment. Okay, you are giving a great service to the Parsi community. We are very thankful to you because they Nawal Dastur and he used to come for every day when I am making puri, when I am making bhakra, and then they used to come.
That's good.
Hotel level tata, driver.
One more good thing about Dharamsala time was, which I want to mention, was my grandmother, Omai Jilla. She was a very generous person, and she had put up number of people who stayed over there but could not afford to pay the
She never
rental.
used to take charge.
She never took money from them. She let them stay, let them eat everything. So there was a human touch, and that's why many customers used to keep coming back. And that's how the name and fame came, because there was a generosity and there was quality in the food service and everything. So there was a human touch to this. Anyway, it's been like from 1910, 12, whatever, till today. So it's about 100 years. This 5 PDs have run this show. And now I'd like to send you back to Dolly's Kitchen for some more eats. And yeah, one more thing. While we move from here to there, please don't forget to wish Firoza a very happy birthday.
We'll be back in a couple of seconds as Arzan moves from the living room to the kitchen. Hurry up, Arzan, get your camera going. Everyone's waiting.
Hi, we are back again to my kitchen now for the sweet dish which I'm making today. That is a Parsi delicacy and it is called popatji. It is basically balls of dough with some spices in it, nuts in it, raisins in it, which are shallow fried, and then they are soaked in a sugar syrup. Now the thing is, unfortunately, this popatji cannot be made unless you have a popatji pannu, what it is called, or a pan. This is the pan. It has these little hollows to be able to make it. Nowadays in South India, we get a lot of this. It's called paniyaram pan. So it is easily available and it's a nice non-stick pan. Okay, first thing we have to do is make the sugar syrup for this popatji. So before we get started,
Hands are used to all this.
you have sugar, what they say, an eighth tar or one string thickness. A little bit more than that you have to boil it. Not too thick, not too thin, and it should be warm so that once you have fried those balls of Popaji, the sugar will get absorbed in it. There is no sugar in the batter of the Popaji. The batter, the dough has no sugar. So just this little bit of sugar which it is dipped in and removed gives it the perfect balance. So now we get started on the Popaji. So you have to beat up eggs. Now, those of you who would like the recipe, it just has to be whisked. Those of you who would like the recipe, I can put it up on WhatsApp. I have taken 1¼ eggs here because the recipe was for 1 kg, which needed 5 eggs, but I have quartered the recipe. So it's a very, very, you can use ½ kg and therefore use 2½ eggs or whatever. So I'm beating up the eggs over here first. Earlier, Popajis were made with toddy. Today, toddy is not available anywhere. So we are using yeast. Now, what I have got is instant yeast, but you can also use the granules, which you have to prove with a little bit of sugar, a little bit of warm water, and let it foam. Once it starts foaming, you can add it to your batter and use it. Or there are recipes of Popaji which also use curd, dahi. But I have never made it like that. So if any of you have tried it and it works well, do let us know. So in this egg, I'm just dropping in the yeast. I am putting in the flour, sorry, 1 minute. Adding the milk and beating it all up together. Now in the milk, I have already added my vanilla essence.
Viola?
Viola, yes. From Motilal Masala.
From Motilal Masala.
He's not paying me, but to advertise for him. Just mix this up together and then add in the flour. This is wheat flour, atta. All the proportions will be given in the recipe later. And along the way, if any of you need to ask anything, please do ask. Check on YouTube if anybody wants to know anything. Please, thank you. Okay, so you just keep beating this up. Now here I'm just showing you, this is cardamom powder, elchi powder. This is caraway seeds, and this is some almonds and raisins. Now this has to be added to it, but not right now. After you've beaten in the eggs, you've put in the yeast, you've put in the milk and the flour. You have to let it wait for some time to let it rise, to become nice and fluffy. So since there is no time, I have already made a batter like this before, and I have kept it here ready to proof so that we can fry it and show it to you. There, can you see how fluffy this is? All those bubbles. See how light it is. See the difference. This is initial and this is after it has risen because of the yeast. So you just mix this up. And after this batter has risen, it's fermented a little bit. This is the time when you add in your spices. So
Somebody is asking, what if the batter is too thick? Can we add some more milk?
Yes, you can. You have to use your discretion, and only with practice you will get to know. So I've added cardamom powder. I'm adding the caraway seeds. I'm adding a little bit of vanilla essence. Now all this is according to your taste, okay? And I am adding the raisins and the flaked almonds. You can use chopped almonds, you can use charoli, which is chironji, or you can even use cashew nuts, whatever suits you and whatever you have available in your kitchen. So now this Popaji ka batter is ready. So we heat this pan. Again, due to shortage of time, I'm not going to make a whole lot of them. I'll just make about 4.
No, I'm not sure. I'm telling you now only. I'm going to eat all 4.
And then we'll work out tomorrow for 1 hour.
I'm going to work. That's all.
Just put a little bit of ghee in the pan.
Desi ghee?
Yeah, this is desi ghee.
That is the thing. You must tell them desi ghee. Dalda nahi.
If you don't want desi ghee and you have only dalda, you can use dalda. If you
And
want
butter?
to use oil, you can use oil. If you want to use butter, you can use butter. It all depends on your individual taste. So now I'm going to take spoonfuls of this batter and I'm going to pour it in this till it is almost full. Oh, you can get the smell of the desi ghee. I'm not a big fan, unfortunately. Actually, this is almost like a bhakra, if you go to see. Only thing, bhakra is deep fried and bhakra is not dipped in the sugar syrup. Also, bhakras, we don't put nuts or raisins in it, though there is a member in my family who likes raisins in his bhakras. I'm not going to mention names, but there is somebody. So you just let this get done on a little slow tower. And then we flip it over.
Wow.
Actually, the South Indians use this pan to make something called paniyaram, which is a savory dish, which is, I think, dosa ma, which they put chilies and ginger and onions, and they use it. Okay. So now I'm going to flip this over.
Wow. This one's a good one.
Actually, unfortunately, this is not my pan. This morning only I dropped my pan and the handle broke.
That's okay.
So I had to borrow this from a friend of mine. Just put a little bit more ghee in it.
I'll have to work out more then. Bas karam. Any questions anyone has? Please send them in on YouTube.
See how these little balls are puffing up.
Color is also lovely. That one needs a little bit more color. Yeah.
You can check by poking a knife in to see whether the dough is cooked through or not. This is how you would check a cake. Let's see again. There, it's come out clean. This one needs a little doing still. There, we're almost done now. Now we're going to take this and put it straight away into the sugar syrup. Just toss it around a little bit. It doesn't have to be soaked for too long. Because it is hot, the sugar syrup is also hot. In case you find that the sugar syrup is congealing, heat it again. Okay? Oh, one thing which I forgot to mention is the sugar syrup. I have added a few strands of saffron. You can see these little strands. So you can either use saffron or you can even use rose water. So that's it. It's done.
Wow.
Just take it out.
Mana, Mora Ben.
Let it drain out. Actually, I should be leaving it like this for all the
No, give me
sugar
with the
syrup
sugar. Give me with the
to
sugar.
come out.
Give me 2 with the sugar.
Just wait, let me take these out first. After some time, see, just now it's looking a little wet. After some time, you'll find that the sugar syrup has absorbed, and it can stay outside for 2-3 days. It becomes like a soft little bhakra, which has got a little bit of sweetness inside. So this is the popat tea, a Parsi delicacy, which very few people, I think, make now. First time I heard of it and tasted it was in Bombay and RTI, but of course, they must have had a huge pan, so it was like a gigantic size one. So that's it. Thank you. Hope you all enjoyed watching this. Any questions, you all can put it up on YouTube. And now I will hand you all back to the
And
studio.
before that, don't forget to wish Firoza and Sanaya happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sanaya and Firoza.
Thank you, Jilas, Firdos, and Dolly, for a delightful and delectable evening. Thank you especially for making Jar Auntie so active in our Calcutta Parsi Club. It's a real pleasure to watch her participate even in the games. They say, better late than never, and Jar Auntie is faithfully following the same.
A big thank you to Arzan and Mirnaz for all their back-end support, to Firdos for his running commentary and for his interview, to Jaranti for agreeing to be part of the show, and most of all to Dolly for letting us into her kitchen and sharing these two delicacies with us, which I hope she can come to Calcutta at some time and feed us in person. So thank you everyone who tuned in, and we look forward to seeing you at all our future programs. To all of you, please remember tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. on the CPC YouTube channel, we will be broadcasting the memorial service for the late Naushad Tankariwala. So we see you all then. Thanks for tuning in today. Good night.